These seats will make you feel as though you're behind the wheel of the Lamborghini Urus. You won't be though, because this is actually a Kia. This is the new Kia XCeed. It's the latest compact crossover to hit the market, and it's widely regarded as Korea's answer to the Lamborghini Urus. Okay, that second point might not strictly be true. However, it's a very impressive car, and it could give its more expensive rivals a real run for their money. Let's kick things off with the design, and the XCeed is a pretty smart looking thing. Now, essentially, it's a Ceed on stilts, so you get the Ceed's headlight design and Kia's Tiger Nose grille as well, but you get a few additions like these plastic surrounds on the wheel arches and down the skirts to give it a more rugged look. You also get this coupe-like roofline for a more sporty appearance. It also looks particularly smart here in quantum yellow, and it comes at no extra charge if you go for a car with the name First. However, if you go for one of the more standard trim levels, you'll only get your typical range of blacks, greys, and metallic reds. Look at this. It's one of the worst examples of fake exhaustery I've ever seen. It's like they've not even tried covering it up, it just sticks out the bottom here. And the one on the other side, completely fake. Just look at these seats. They look just like the chairs you get in the Lamborghini Urus, only in a car that costs 5 times less. Of course, they're not made of leather, this is fabric, but there is faux leather. Quite evidently, it's faux leather. And just look how much storage there is in here. Under here, I've got 2 generously sized cup holders. There are drink holders in the door bins. Under here, I've got a massive bin, which, I don't know, I could put my depressingly light wallet in. Under here, we've got a little tray with 2 USB ports and a 12-volt charger, and above that is a phone holder, and in first edition cars, that is a wireless charger too. Build quality is also really good. Up here, we've got soft touch plastics, and there are also gloss black elements around the steering wheel, on the dashboard, and around the center console. I know it's going to build up fingerprints over time, but it just gives the car a little bit more of a premium feel. I quite like it. I'm not a big fan though of the silver elements around the gear selector and on the wheel here. They've got just a hint of budget bathroom about them, and they really shouldn't be on a car that's trying to punch well above its weight. Overall though, build quality is really good. If I give the center console a shake here, it just absolutely will not budge. In fact, I'd say the quality in here is better than that of the Audi Q2. The Kia XCeed comes in 4 different trim levels, starting off with the 2, for some reason, then moving over to the Edition, then above that is the 3, and finishing it all off is the First Edition. Go for an XCeed 2 and you'll get an 8-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, manual air conditioning, a reversing camera and cruise control thrown in as standard. You also get a load of safety kit including automatic emergency braking and lane keep assistance. Above that sits the XCeed Edition, which comes with 18-inch wheels, premium paint and extra storage in the center console. Upgrade to the XCeed 3 and you'll get dual zone climate control, an excellent JBL sound system, electric mirrors and a start-stop button. No matter which model you go for, you'll always have a touchscreen in the centre of the dashboard, and all models come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. This one here is the 10.3-inch panel, and it is absolutely beautiful and really intuitive and slick to use. The only thing I will say though is I wish the panel was angled a little bit more towards the driver, because it's such a big display that when you want to hit the menu button, you really do have to sit up and lean over. On first edition models like the car we have here, you'll get a 10.3-inch infotainment system with Kia's Uvo Connect. Now what that does is it gives you interesting bits of information like the weather and road hazards and other exciting bits of data. Other additions include a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, a panoramic sunroof and adaptive cruise control. More on that later. Things are a little bit tighter in the back. I'm 180 centimetres tall and I probably have around about 10 centimetres worth of headroom still to go. Now it doesn't help that we've got the panoramic sunroof in this car. However, it does let a lot more light in and really does brighten up the cabin. Legroom isn't too bad. Again, if you've got a tall person in front, you might struggle a little bit, but this was my driving position and I've, again, probably got about 10 centimetres worth of room still to go. I tell you who doesn't have to worry about legroom, and that's a child. And that was also a seamless segue to talk about the Iso Fix points on the XCeed. Now down here you've got retractable Iso Fix points. So all you need to do is just push down these little black caps and you'll find the connectors just underneath there. They're really handy because every time you put a child seat in, you don't need to worry about losing those plastic caps. Other things to consider, there is a really small transmission tunnel in the centre, so if you're sitting in the middle here, you don't have to worry about your legs being tucked up behind your ears. And if there's nobody in the centre here, you could always pull down the centre armrest, and would you look at that, 2 more cup holders. Opening the boot on the XCeed could not be more simple because it's got an electronically assisted tailgate. Wonderful. Now that's open, you've got 426 litres of boot space, and that's the same across all models. However, only first editions get 40-40-20 folding seats. All other models get 60-40. Pop open the bonnet and you'll find a 1.4 litre turbocharged petrol engine producing 138 brake horsepower and 242 newton meters of torque. Now that's good for a 0 to 60 time of 9.2 seconds, which frankly sounds rubbish, but I can tell you that if we're getting up to motorway speeds and sprinting away from some traffic lights, it's more than enough. Other engine options include a 1 litre 3-cylinder motor on entry-level cars and a 1.6 litre diesel. A 6-speed manual is available as standard, but you can go for a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox on cars fitted with the 1.4 litre petrol engine. What's the XCeed like to drive? Well, a lot of its competitors aren't exactly the most exciting things behind the wheel, but I'm having quite a lot of fun driving the XCeed. There's a certain tautness to the car that I wasn't expecting, and that's partly because Kia has been working on the car's suspension. It doesn't mean that it's stiffer and it's not going to break your backs going over bumps. It's far from it. It's actually really comfortable. But there's very little body roll. It's very planted and it just gives you confidence to steer into corners. Yes, there's loads of space in the interior, but it doesn't feel like a big car to drive. And there's a certain lightness in the center point of the steering wheel. It's very easy to position when you're driving around town. But when you're driving around a more swooping bend, the steering stiffens up just a little bit more to give you a slight hint that you're driving in something that has been at least inspired by sportier cars. Now, we've put a fair amount of miles on this car, and remarkably I've been averaging around 44 mpg, and that's included a mix of driving on the motorway and on country roads. Now, when it's cruising along, it's really quite quiet and refined, but when you put your foot down, the engine does make a slight noise that kind of suggests it doesn't really want you to do that. It's not intrusive, it's just a bit grumbly. It's not happy if you put your foot down. It doesn't want to be driven like a sports car. As a whole, the driving experience is pretty great. There's not a lot much more you could expect from a compact crossover. The only slight gripe I have, though, is to do with the active cruise control. Now, when it's set, what it'll do is it'll look to the car in front, monitor their speed, and if they start to slow down, you'll slow down as well. And that's really handy, so you don't go ploughing into the back of cars. The only problem is when you're on quite a busy motorway, it seems as though the radar picks up multiple different cars. So the car keeps cutting in and out to maintain a speed, and it can be quite jerky. I found the best thing to do was to switch it off when I was driving around the M25, but it got a lot better when I went onto more rural roads or onto a dual carriageway that wasn't really that populated. So if you're on a busy motorway, I would say just be prepared for a slightly bumpy ride. But on a whole, like I said, I think the driving experience is great. So the XCeed is really rather brilliant, and in first edition guise at least, brings an element of premiumness to a corner of the market that is, let's face it, extremely dull. The big question here though is, should you buy one? And well, I think you should put it on your shortlist. It's got all the equipment that you could need and comes with Kia's unbeaten 7-year warranty. That's right, if something goes wrong, you don't have to pay a single penny to get it fixed. Unless of course it was your fault. At a few £100 shy of £30,000, the XCeed First Edition is a tad on the expensive side. Yes, the range starts off at about £20,000, but I don't know, if it's got a 7-year warranty, maybe you'll want to keep this for quite a lot of time. So why not bump up the monthly payments, Go for a higher trim option and have all the equipment and tech that you could ever want. And just because it's a new car doesn't mean you have to pay full price for it. Why not head over to YesAuto.com and check out all the deals that we've got on a brand new Kia XCeed. I'm Cam Tate. I'll see you in the next one. You'll always have a touchscreen in the centre of the dashboard. Hello? What are you doing in here? Hello?